Good day, everyone. My name is Toju. I'll be doing a revision class in terms of your question paper from your trial exam in preparations of your November exams. So the first thing that we are given, or the first question, it says that we are given this particular equation, right? So it says solve for f of x if solve f of x equals to 0 if x is an integer. So what do we think an integer is? So we say that an integer is a whole number, does not include fractions or anything like that. So we say that an integer is a number that is not a fraction. Right? So let us start solving. We have x squared minus 3 close bracket 3x, right, minus 1 x plus 2 equals to 0, right? So we say x is equal to 3, or 3x is equal to 1, or x is equal to minus 2, right? So it's x squared is equal to 3. Yeah. So we say that x is equal to plus minus square root of 3, or x is equal to 1 over 3, or x is equal to minus 2. But we know that we say that an integer is a whole number, right? Whether it's positive or negative. So x is equal to minus 2, right? Okay, so let us proceed. So it says whereby x is a rational number, right? So this means that it can be represented. If a number is a rational number, it can be represented in a fraction form, right? Which is either maybe p over q. So the numbers that can be represented in fraction form is 1 over 3 and minus 2, right? So it says, then the other one says that x is a real number. So we can say that a real number is a number that we can place on the number line ranging from negative infinity to positive infinity, right? So those numbers are minus 2, right, 1 over 3, and the square root of 3, or the negative square root of 3, right? So those are our answers there. So we have another question, which says solve for x correct to 2 decimal places. Alright. So the first question, how we can do this is using the quadratic formula, which says minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, right? So we check for the values of a, b, c. So this is the value of a, this is the value of b, which is minus 9, the value of c, which is minus 4. So let us proceed to substitute into our formula. So it's minus 9, right, plus minus square root of minus 9 squared minus 4 minus 15. 4 all divided by 2 to the power minus 15, right? So our solutions are minus 0,9 or x is equal to minus 0,30, right? So those are our solutions. Then here's another question that says you must solve for x, right? Okay, so we have to break this down and to factorize it. So it's 3x, sorry, minus 2, 3x minus 2 is equals to or greater than 3x. So if we factorize this whole thing, we're gonna have 9x squared minus 12x plus 4, which is greater than or equal to 3x, right? So now we have to factor, then we transpose, right? We transpose, so we say that's 9x squared minus, so these two are like terms, so minus 12x plus negative 3x, so it's going to be negative 15x plus 4 is greater than or equals to 0, right? Then we factorize, so it's 3x minus 4, then 3x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Then we know that x is less than or equal to 1 over 3, or x is greater than or equals to 4 over 3, right? So that is our solution there. Then we proceed to this other question of ours, whereby we have to solve for x, right? So there's many ways to solve this question, right? So the best method that I found to solve this question is using K method, right? So usually, like when we use the K method, we only have to substitute to get okay. So let us proceed. So let us proceed by saying let 5 to the power x, right, is equal to k, right? So it makes our work easier. So we say k is equal to 5 to the power 5, oh sorry, multiplied by open bracket 4 plus 5 to the power 2 multiplied by negative k to the power minus 1, right? So we know that k to the power minus 1 is the same as 1 over k, right? Okay, so we say it's k is equal to 5 times 4 plus 5 times 5 to the power 2 over k, right? Then we can cross multiply so that we have a much more simpler equation, right? So we have k squared is equal to 20k, right? So we know 5 times 4 multiplied by k is equal to 20k, right? That's a lot of money. Then 5 multiplied by 5 to the power 2 plus is equal to 125, right? So we can transpose. So if we transpose, we have k squared minus 20k minus 125, right, is equal to 0, right? So we factorize the entire thing now. So it's k plus 5, k minus 25, right, is equal to 0, right? So we have k is equal to minus 5 or k is equal to 25. Then we know that the value of k is 5 to the power x, right? So we say 5 to the power x is equal to minus 5, right? Or 5 to the power x is equal to 5 to the power 2, right? So we know that x is equal to 2 or x is equal to minus 1 because 5 to the power 1 is still the same as 5, right? So it's minus 1. So those are our solutions, right? So now we have our other question that says solve for x and y, which is the simultaneous equation, right? So now what we can do here, it says we know that if we convert logarithms into, we can convert logarithmic functions into exponential functions, right? So log x 16 equals to 4 is the same as x to the power 4 is equal to 16, right? Due to our log p y is equal to x. Then we know that y is equal to b to the power x, right? Yeah. Then we know that x to the power 4 is the same as 2 to the power 4, right? So x is equal to 2, right? So that is our solution for x. Then what we can do is we can go substitute the value of x, which is 2, into our other equation of y plus square root of x plus 7 is equal to 1. So it's y plus square root of 2 plus 7, right? 2 plus 7 is equal to 2 plus 1, right? So we know it's y plus the square root of 9 is equal to 3. So the square root of 9 is the same as 3, right? So plus 3 is equal to 3. Then if we transpose, then we know that the value of y is equal to 0. So our solution here is x is equal to 2 and y is equal to. So let us proceed to our other question, right? So it says calculate two numerical values for p so that x squared plus p 2x plus 7 plus 8 is a perfect square, right? So let us first simplify this. So we're going to have x squared plus 2px, right, plus 7p, right, plus 8. So we know that the conditions for a perfect square, that's x is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So, but then we know that the roots have to be equal to 0, right? The root condition has to be equal to 0. So we substitute, sorry, then we substitute, so it's the value of b, it's 2p, right? So it's 2p squared minus 4. That's the value of a. The value of a is 1, right? Here, it is 1. What is the value of C? The value of C is 7p plus 8. Open bracket, 7p plus 8, right, is equal to 0, right? So we have 4p squared minus 28p, right, minus 32 equals to 0. So we know that if we divide everything here, it's going to be p squared minus 7p minus 8 equals to 0, right? So we factorize everything, so it's p plus 1 p minus 8 equals to 0. So p is equal to minus 1, or p is equal to 8. So those are our values for our solution. So now let us proceed to our next batch of questions. Okay, so now we are given it says following the sequence of numbers form a quadratic number pattern. The first difference, okay, so they give us the pattern, which is -3 minus 2 minus 3 minus 6 minus 11, right? So they say the first difference of the given sequence also forms a sequence. Determine an expression for the nth term, right? Determine an expression for the nth term, okay, of this pattern. So we know that to get the difference between two numbers, we have to minus t2 minus t1, right? So we say here, okay, then if we minus those values, so we say minus 2, so minus 2 minus minus 3, it gives us the value of 1. So we know that the first term of the first difference is positive 1, right? Okay, then we go again, minus 2 minus minus, okay, then we say t3 minus t2, so it's going to be minus 3 minus minus 2, right? So it's the same as negative 3 plus 2, which gives us minus 1, right? So we know that the difference, the second term of the first difference is minus 1, right? Then we go again, then we say t4 minus t3. So we see that it is minus 6 minus minus 3, right? Which is the same as minus 6 plus 3, which gives us a value of minus 3, right? So it's minus 3. So we have to find the difference. So we see minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 is equal to negative 2, right? So the difference here is minus 2 minus 3 minus minus 1, right? Which is the same as negative 3 plus 1, which gives us a difference of minus 2, right? Okay, so now it says we have to determine the expression or the formula for the number pattern of the first difference. So it's going to be t n is equal to a plus n minus 1 d, right? So we know that the value of a is 1, right? So let's write it down. So it's 1, sorry, plus n minus 1. The difference is minus 2, right? Minus 2 is equal to minus 2 n 9 plus 2 plus 1, right? Which gives us the formula is Tn is equal to minus 2 plus minus 2n plus 3, right? Okay. So the second question, it says calculate the first difference between the 35th and the 36th term of the quadratic sequence, right? I think it says so. It says calculate the first difference between the 36th term of the quadratic sequence. Okay, so we can say T35, right? T35 is equal to minus 235 plus 3, right? Which gives us a value of minus 67, right? So that is our value for the difference of the quadratic sequence, right? So now it says determine an expression determine an expression for the nth term of the quadratic sequence. So the quadratic sequence had, okay, so it was minus 3, right, minus 2, minus 6, minus 11. So we saw that the second difference of this particular sequence of ours, the second difference was minus 2, right? So we know that 2a is equal to the difference, right, which is minus 2. So we know that the value of a is equal to minus 1, right? We know that. So what can we do? Okay, so now we know that the formula for the quadratic sequence is Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c, right? So let us substitute what we know from the quadratic sequence. So we say that Tn, T1 is equal to minus 1 plus b multiplied by 1 plus c. So why are we doing this? We are doing all this so that we can solve for the value of b and c, right? So we know that T1 is equal to minus 3, right? Is equal to, sorry, that was squared here. So that is equal to minus 1 plus b 1 plus c, right? So it's 1 plus c. So we know that b we can say is equal to, so if we transpose, so it's going to be negative 3 plus 1, which gives us minus 2 minus c, right? So we can say that is our equation 1, right? Then we can go again, then we substitute for the value of term number 2. So we say T2 is equal to minus 1, right? 2 squared plus b 2 plus c, right? So what is the value of T2? It is minus 2, right? Minus 2 is equal to minus 4, right? Plus 2b, right? Plus c, right? So we know that the value of c, if we transpose, it's going to be negative 2 plus 4, which gives us positive 2 minus 2b, right? So that is our equation 2, right? So now we can do something that we can say we substitute the equation of b into equation 2 for the value of b, right? So we can say c is equal to 2 minus 2 minus 2c, right? Minus 2c. Then we say that it's 2 is equal to 2 plus 4, right? No, it's not 2c, it's c only. Sorry for the confusion. It's c It's minus c only. Minus c. Right? So we know that 2, then it's going to give us negative 2c, right? So if we transpose, so we're not gonna say it's going to give us, sorry, positive 2c. So if we transpose, we know that we're gonna have a value of negative c. Negative c is equal to positive 6. Then the value of c is equal to negative 6, right? So after we're done solving for the value of c, we go and substitute it to the original formula for the value of c. So we say b is equal to minus 2 minus 6, right? So we know that the value of b is going to be positive 4, right? So the equation now, the equation is Tn, right? Tn is equal to minus n squared, right? Plus 4n minus 6. Okay, so that is the final formula. Okay, so explain why the sequence will never contain a positive number. All right, so here's what we can do in order for it to show. It's either we can maybe determine the turning points or something of that sort, so that we can see what is the maximum value, right? What is the maximum value? So we can say it's, so we have the original equation, right? From the original equation, this equation of ours, we can say Tn, then you can check the turning points of the function here. So it's minus, sorry, minus, yeah, minus, open bracket, n minus 4n, right? 4n plus 6, right? So from here on now, we can complete the square so that we can get the values of the turning points. So it's minus n squared minus 4n plus 4 over 2 squared minus 4 over, sorry, minus 4 over 2 plus 6, right? So we can get that that's minus n minus 2 squared plus 2, right? So that we can see that the maximum value is minus 2. Hence, we can say that the turning points of the function have no upper values in the x-axis that are positive, right? So that is our one of the questions that we'll be doing, right? So, yeah. So it says the graph of functions f of x is equal to a over x plus t plus 2, right? So we know what type of function this is, and we all know what type of function this is. So an h mx plus c are sketched. Okay, so this is our graph, right? This is our graph. So it says write down the values of P and Q, right? So the values of P and Q. So from our equation, we know that X is equal to P, right? X is equal to P, right? X minus P is equal to 0. Then we know that the value of P, let us write it down. The value of P will be positive 2, right? The value of Q, Y is equal to minus 1. It's the asymptote. So Y is equal to minus 1. Alright? Okay. So then they say we have to calculate the value of A. So from the equation of ours, let us write it down. So it's f of x is equal to A over x plus P, right? Plus Q, right? So we know that as of far. Then we say that we can substitute the values that we are given here. So which values are we given? We are given the value of x, which is minus 4, and the value of y, which is 5 over 2, right? So we say that it is minus 5 over 2, right, is equal to the value of A minus 4 plus 2 minus 1, right? So it's minus 5 over 2 multiplied by 2, right, is equal to, multiplied by negative 2, sorry, A plus 2, right? Since we multiplied negative 1 by minus 2, it gives us a positive. So we know that the value of A is equal to 3. The value of A is equal to 3. Okay. So the question says write down the range, right? How do we know the range? So we say that the range is all the possible set of y values, right? So y element of R, right? Where y is not equal to minus 1. So that is our range, right? So the other question, sorry, says determine the equation of the line of symmetry for m is less than 0, right? In the form y. Okay, so this is what we're given. We can see, let us go check from our equation here. So you have determined, we know that, okay, let us check properly. Y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, so where m is equal to or is less than, so we know that the gradient is minus 1, right? Then we say y is equal to m x plus c, right? So can say y is equal to minus x plus the value of, no, it's not positive 3 but negative 3. Minus c minus 3, right? So that is all that we have to look at. So it says write down the equations of the asymptotes of f of x plus 4 1 over 2. So we know that this is still the same as 4 plus 1 over 2, right? It's 4 plus 1 over 2, not 4 multiplied by 1 over 2, right? Okay, so let us go. F of x plus 4. Okay, so we have to determine the asymptotes, right? So we know that it's going to be x is equal to minus 6 1 over 2, and y is equal to minus 1, right? So those are the four. Okay, then the equation f of x is equal to 3, right? Determine the equation for f prime f to the power minus 1 x, the inverse, right? So if this is the original equation, then our inverse will be equals to log, no, log 3x, right? So, okay. So it says that we should sketch our graph. So our graph, right? Sorry for the bad drawing. Okay, so our graph, right, will have to be something of a mirror reflection to one another. So since we've already calculated the points, found out that it is 1 is to 1. So this is f of x, right? This one is for f of x. This one is for the inverse of f of x, right? So that is the value. So it says, the other question says, write down the equation of the line of symmetry between the two graphs you have drawn. So the line of symmetry, y is equal to x, right? Where like they are equal, or y is equal to x. That's all you have to know. So it says, for which values of x will f of x multiplied by f prime of minus x, f to the power minus 1x equals to or greater than 0. So we say that those values will be whereby x is greater than 0 and x is equal to or smaller than 1, right? So that is that. So they say write down the range of the function 3 to the power minus x. So the range, you know that it is the set of possible y values. So the range for us here is going to be y is greater than minus 4, right? So, and the question says, okay, 6.6 says, write down an equation for g if the graph of g is the image of the graph of f after it has been translated 2 units to the right, right? and reflected about the x-axis. Okay, so if we say that it's a mirror image, okay, it's an image, it's like looking into it, right? So you know that how mirrors work is that sometimes they don't like display things in a proper manner, right? So what is up is down and what is down is up, right? So it's a reflection. Okay. So write down an image. So if it says like it has been shifted 2 units to the right, okay. So we know that the equation of g of x, right? G of x is equal to, then the first thing that we are told, it is reflected, okay, it is being translated 2 units to the right, okay. So we know that it's f x minus 2 units to the right, right? And is reflected about the x-axis, right? So we know that it is reflected about the x-axis, right? So the equation now is minus 3 to the power x minus 2. So that is the equation of g of x that you will have to do on your own. So this is question 1. It's the first question. The second question, the third question, and the fourth question. And I hope that everybody enjoyed the class and it was really helpful for them. Thank you and